Hey folks, this is Ryan Gurnett with SideQuest during the apocalypse. So we usually do sales for PlayStation and Nintendo Switch weekly, but there's so much cool stuff that the PlayStation is doing for their summer sale that that's all we're going to talk about this week because there wasn't even any room for the Switch games. First off, we have Uncharted 4, A Thief's End. This is a great game to end Nathan Drake's adventure on. It's the best out of the series. It has some absolutely insane over-the-top set pieces and adventure sequences. For $10, this is an absolute classic that you should get your hands on, and you're going to love it. And next up, we have Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. This was basically spin-off DLC from Uncharted 4, and I really like Chloe as a new protagonist for the series, if this is something that they decide they want to move forward with. I think she's really compelling as a protagonist, and if you can, you can see from these pictures, like, the game continues to look absolutely gorgeous. It has those same set piece, those big set piece moments. It's still got the cool puzzles. It has the excellent action. You get to do a little stealth. It's a little bit of everything. So I'd absolutely recommend this if you're into an adventure game, or if you haven't played any of the games in the Uncharted series and you really like The Last of Us. This or Uncharted 4 are both fantastic games to check out, and they're stuff that I think you'd really enjoy. So for me, this is just top-notch game making. Like, get on it. And next up, we have Outlast. Outlast is on sale for $4. It is 80% off the regular price. In Outlast, you find yourself checking out a old mental institution and seeing what went wrong. And, oh, wow. A whole bunch of stuff went wrong, if you can tell just by watching the clips from the game. This was one of the earlier games where you didn't have a weapon, where it was just all about hiding. It uses the handy cam and with night vision to great effect, giving you some, like, grainy, in the dark kind of scares, and you never really know what this game is going to throw at you. I thought the difficulty was just right for running and hiding, and I would recommend this to anyone who's into first-person horror. I will say this: I started playing the second one, and the second one was exactly like the first one, so I wasn't a big fan of Outlast 2. But this game, the core original game, is fantastic. And next up, we have Until Dawn. To talk about the best game out of a series, if you think about games like Heavy Rain and the anthology series that's included Man of Medan and Little Hope, Until Dawn is better than all of those games. It has an amazing cast, which features, I'm going to say her name wrong, Hayden Panettiere. It has Rami Malek from Mr. Robot, and it's a really good horror story. It's, kids in a cabin out in the middle of nowhere. A year earlier, 2 of their friends died in an accident, and they're coming back here to meet up. And it's a lot of twists and turns. There's so much stuff that really came out of nowhere and surprised me. I really like the quick time events. They also have moments where you have to, just hold your controller in place, so like the bad guys don't hear you. And those moments for me were super, super tense. And this was one of the first games I can remember where I was really upset when I lost one of the characters. And next up, we have the BioShock collection. We talk about BioShock a lot on here. It's 80% off. It's $50 down to $10. I mean, that's a fantastic deal. You're going to get about 50 hours of gameplay if you go through all 3. The first 2 are adventures in the underwater city of Rapture, and then the third, you get to go see the city of Columbia in the sky. I thought all 3 of them were really compelling. I think BioShock 2 is greatly underrated, and I am planning an eventual playthrough of all the BioShock DLCs from all 3 games, now that you can get them through collections like this. And I think it's going to be a really good time, and I think it might even fill in some holes that kind of might answer some questions that I've had about the series all along. And next up, we have Ultimate Chicken Horse. For my money, this is the best multiplayer game that you can get on console. The idea is you start off with kind of a very basic platforming level, which you can play with up to 4 players, either local or online, and you're just trying to get to the finish line. But if everyone gets to the finish line, the course is too easy, and you don't get any points. So starting on every turn, everyone gets a chance to drop at least one weapon or other platform, buzzsaws, rotating things, all sorts of crazy stuff that you can throw in this world to make it harder for everyone else. So the goal is really to make it harder, so hard that other people can't do it, but still easy enough that you can do it. And you can. It's a great game if you like swearing at your friends while you play. This is a ton of fun. Like I can't recommend it enough. I got the platinum trophy in this myself, which is something I usually don't go out of my way for. And if you can't tell, I'm the ultimate raccoon. Thanks for using that shot. All right, next up we have Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor. It is 75% off. It's down to $4.99. This is a great deal on this game. Shadow of War came out as a sequel, but I just loved this one more. I think the Nemesis system was really, it worked better in this. You don't have to deal with all the loot box nonsense that you have to in the other game. I just think it's, because of that, it ends up being just a little simpler with some of the elements that, like, that you shouldn't have a complicated loot box system for a game like this. Like, you should just be able to give someone a weapon or an item or whatever and just have it be simple. So while I didn't like Shadow of War, I played through this game twice and loved it. I was like one trophy short from a platinum. I couldn't find like a certain kind of bird I had to kill or something, and it might even been a bat. But no, it's got that combat, the kind of Batman Arkham series, the kind of, if you hit triangle when they're about to attack to block, and then you attack yourself. And for me, there's a lot of games like this, but I think this one really mastered it. But talking about another one who got it really right, Mad Max. I still think this game is sorely underappreciated. It kind of fits in with kind of some of the games we've talked about earlier, like Shadow of Mordor and the Uncharted series. If you look at the graphics, it kind of feels like a combination of the two. You are killed by someone named Scrotus because Mad Max, I guess. So you got to build a new car. You got to go to battle with him. You build your own base up. You build a car up. You level your character up. There's a lot of small mechanics in place in the background that work great, and it uses that same combat style like the Batman Arkham City games. It got it really well, though, and also includes some guns. So if you got a few too many people on you, you can blast them with a shotgun. But especially the vehicle combat in this game is fantastic, and I don't think you're going to find play quite like that on any other game you play. And I mean, for $5 for a 40-hour game, there's no reason not to get this. And next up, we have the Jackbox Party Pack. It's usually $30. It's marked down to $11.24. This is fantastic. I will always talk about a good Jackbox sale. I think there's one in the series so far that I don't like, but everyone else I've been really happy with. This one has You Don't Know Jack, Fibbage, and Drawful, and they've got two other games, but those are the three ones you're there to see. You Don't Know Jack is really bizarre trivia. Fibbage works like Balderdash, where you're either filling in blanks or making up definitions for words. And Drawful is a game where you're going to see your friends draw a lot of penises if you have the same friends that I do. So I hope you don't. But these games can suit up to 6 or 8 players, depending on the game you're playing. They're always something I bring out when I'm having a party. And I think if you get into it, it's a really good way to kind of bring people. It's a good icebreaker to bring people together. And I find that when I bring this up, almost everyone knows Jackbox when I say it. Next up, we have Donut County. This is a weird one, but I really liked it. It's usually $13. It's marked down to $3.89. That's a great price for it. And you are a raccoon, and you operate a hole in the ground that you have to suck things into. So I first started playing it, and it seemed almost too simple to me, because you were literally just moving the hole around. When you get something, it gets a little bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until you suck the whole level into it. But eventually, it brings out a whole lot of puzzle mechanics, like you can see me blowing the water there. They have different things where you have to launch frogs or pull switches, and it ended up being a really interesting puzzle game to play. And but the mechanics I think are still simple enough for this is a game I could play with my wife, who's a non-gamer, or that I think you might be able to play with like young children. It certainly has that cute aspect to it. And then next up we have Moonlighter Complete Edition, originally $24. It's marked down to $9.59. Moonlighter is so much fun. during the day, you operate a shop where you sell items, and in the night, and I mean, not necessarily, you can do it however you want, and then at night, you go into dungeons to get the items that you're going to sell in your store. So you're working on a quest to kind of get through these dungeons and see what's at the end, while meanwhile, to kind of fund your expedition and to help you get the upgrades you need, you're selling items in your shop. And the mechanic of doing so ended up being really interesting. It'll tell you, characters will tell you if you're charging too much or too little. So finding the sweet spot for your prices ended up being a real interesting part of the strategy for me. But the action plays out great. There really wasn't any aspect I didn't like about this. And for $10, you also get a 5th extra dungeon and some more contents, some better upgrades. Check it out. Next up, we have Sparklight. Sparklight's a nice little roguelike that kind of surprised me out of nowhere. I got it on Gamefly and tried it out. Honestly, it's pretty simple, boilerplate kind of stuff, but I really enjoyed it. Honestly, wow, it's like I'm sitting here and I don't know what I have to say about this. I mean, you can kind of just see by looking at it, it looks really similar to Moonlighter. It has a lot of different caves and things and little secrets to explore, and it has a bunch of really interesting bosses. It has cool level layouts. It has little trials where you have to beat 3 levels of enemies to get to the bottom to get prizes. And the loot ended up being a really fun part of it. So I'd absolutely recommend checking this game out, especially for $10. I think that's a great price. Next up, we have Concrete Genie. This game kind of surprised me. I didn't think I was going to like it, and I wasn't sure how it was going to work when it was not in VR, which is what it's intended for. This is a really cute story about... It's about a young man who's trying to use this magic paintbrush he has to turn his rundown port town back into something beautiful again. And he has some bullies he's trying to avoid, and that's kind of where our antagonists are. But it really ends up being a game about empathy and understanding others, and a little bit about sadness. It definitely touched on some mental health issues that are definitely close to my heart. The gameplay is great. All the paintings and the monsters you get to make are beautiful, and I've never played it in VR. I would be super excited to, because this game is it looks gorgeous, and it really gives you a lot of fun stuff to do. So for $12, give it a try. Then we have Darkest Dungeon Ancestral Edition. It's usually $40. It's marked down to $8. It has 73 hours of content. So if you ever wanted to try out this very difficult roguelike turn-based combat dungeon crawler, this is the time to do it. This game kicked my ass. And it ended up kind of not being a game for me, but at the same time, I can tell a good game when I see it. And if you can put the time and effort into it to really get through it, $8 for everything. I mean, this is including all the DLC for the game and everything else. That's fantastic. The way you explore these dungeons, your sanity can run low. There's traps everywhere. There's enemies everywhere. You really don't know what's going to hit you next. And, even the smallest little thing can happen. And then next thing you know, one of your characters is maudlin or crazy or losing sanity. And it really, it's a difficult slog, but I believe it's worth it. And next we have For the King. I love this game. This is it can be done with multiplayer, but I absolutely recommend just doing it as a solo thing. Basically, it functions like a board game / turn-based role-playing game. And there's a few different missions you can do that just lead you around this map trying to find different items, defeat enemies, different kings, things like that. And when the game came out, it was originally, a lot of bad reviews were about the RNG, the randomness of the attacking, but it seems to be laid out pretty clearly the way everything's explained, and I didn't really see that problem at all. I've gotten all the trophies except for one as well, and sometimes you just get bad luck, but other times, it's all right. Now, what am I buying this week? I bought Golf Zero. I'd been waiting for a 50% off. For me, that was the sweet spot in price, so that worked out. This game mixes Super Meat Boy elements with golf, and I've played through about the first 15 levels or so, just getting some footage for this video, and it's actually very difficult, but it's very fun. So it's not just about standing in place while you golf. You can do things while in midair, and it has a slowdown mechanic for you. And it doesn't even matter if your character dies, as long as you get the ball in the hole. So it mixes platforming, and I feel like almost an element of like puzzles, and yeah, it got in the hole. And it's so far it's been really fun, and for $2.50, it took a little while to get used to the controls, but after about 5 minutes I was off and running with this game, and I can't wait to have some time to finish it. I'm really gonna enjoy it. And that is all we have, guys. Enjoy the PlayStation Summer Sale. Please subscribe, like, comment. Let us know you're there. Let us know what you want to see from us. You can find us at Twitter and Facebook at SQDTA. And we have a Patreon that is running on patreon.com/strugglingproductions. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.